Hey everybody, welcome back to another action figure review, G.I.Joe Classified Edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Crimson Alley Viper. As you can see, I've got two of them. I usually troop build in pairs. I would probably do more if I wasn't afraid my wife would probably divorce me for spending all that extra money. She barely tolerates my hobby as it is. In any case, these were released in late 2023, I think, in the United States, but I don't think I got them over here in UK until early 2024. So I got them relatively recently, like February or March or something. But they've been sitting on my desk gathering dust because I've been busy reviewing other things. But now I've finally gotten to these, so I'm finally starting to knock a dent into my huge backlog of figures to take care of and review. So, the Crimson Alley Viper was released as part of the wave with like Shooter and Mole Rats and Tunnel Rat and, well, Night Force Tunnel Rat anyway. And their whole deal is that particular story arc dealt with the Dark Energon. And the Crimson Alley Vipers were basically the security forces for the Mole Rats in the tunnels while they were mining the Dark Energon. And then, of course, the Crimson Alley Vipers turned into a defense force, an offensive force, rather, to shoot the Mole Rats when they started turning into mindless creatures. I resist calling them zombies because I don't know whether or not they were dead at that point. It's like a 28 days later scenario where the quote unquote zombies in 28 days later were still alive. They weren't undead. They didn't die and come back to life like in Night of the Living Dead. They were still alive. They just had some virus in them that caused them to go completely nuts. So, technically not zombies. And I don't know what the Mole Rats would be considered, because I don't know whether or not they were technically dead or not. But that's a question for another time. We're going to look at the Crimson Alley Viper today. This is a repaint of the Alley Viper that we got earlier, along with the original Cobra B.A.T. That one was the orange and the blue, neon orange and blue design. This one is a little bit more, this one makes a little bit more sense, put it that way. This has got red, blacks, and grays. Like the neon orange and blue is a product of its time, I think, coming out in like late 80s when that kind of thing was all the rage. But the Crimson Alley Viper makes a lot more sense as a trooper. This uniform looks really good. And we're going to take a look at them. First, we're going to look at the box. And as you can see, the box has some of those Dark Energon crystals there, along with the picture of the figure. And that's a little Easter egg on the box. I don't think there's anything else on the box. They got the artwork over here, which I believe is the same as from the original Alley Viper. There's the ribbon with all the gear he comes with. And this guy, he comes with a lot, considering it's a standard figure. I mean, this is like a deluxe figure loadout, essentially. But Hasbro gave it to us originally with a standard figure in the orange and blue Alley Viper, so they kept the same gear loadout for this one. He's got all the same stuff as the original, no alterations, only color, or paint, rather, whatever you want to call it. Those are the only real differences between the original Alley Viper and this one. They did paint the knife blades, which they didn't do for the original one, so that's nice. I guess for the money they saved for the repaint, they put a little extra, they put a little bit towards painting the blades on that one, so that was nice. So, Crimson Alley Viper Classified Series. This one's number 91 in the line. Larger shot of the artwork. QR code. File card, basically. Legalese on the bottom. And some on the back. And then you got the other picture with 6.4 inches tall. All the gear he comes with. Close-up of the mask and of the backpack. And I saw a lot of videos when the first Alley Viper came out of people having trouble figuring out where stuff went on the figure, because they apparently didn't have the original when they grew up, or they'd never seen a copy of the original, or they'd forgotten what the original looked like. But that's a shot there showing you how the grapple gun goes. So back box is done. Take a look at the figure. Very nice looking figure. Definitely much better color scheme than the original. I'll say that. Some people might not agree. Some people may like the neon orange and blue. And even though I grew up in the 80s and wore neon stuff to school during that time period, because everybody did, I still prefer this color scheme. Red and black are two of my favorite colors, so add a little bit of gray in it, and it's pretty good. And some blue right there. You can see he's got the black bodysuit underneath. This is an overlay piece right here, so not going to get a lot of movement. He also has an overlay holster here, an overlay thigh pad with some pouches over here, and he's got this overlay knife sheath on his right forearm. This is glued down, so that's not going anywhere. And he does have carabiners, which is interesting because he does come with a grapple gun, but so many, like Wolf Spider, I did the Wolf Spider review, he didn't come with carabiners on his belt, even though he's a pararescue. So that's some they gave the carabiners to, and some they didn't. And they're nice and painted, so that's good too. They did give us some extra paint on this because they didn't have to do the whole blue-orange camo pattern. Well, I guess it's just technically orange with blue paint for the pattern. You got the gray straps here on the back, not too much. Just the black straps on the sides and on the belt, and then the gray straps on the shoulders. And he's got that gray Cobra insignia in a sheath, on a sleeve rather, on his shoulder, on his right bicep. And he's got some like black and white, some zebra pattern markings there. He's got those knee pads, those tortoiseshell knee pads, and he's got those ridiculously stupid shin guards that everybody I know hates because they never glue them on properly, and there's no exception here. These are not properly lined up with the feet, so oh well. Out of the box, he comes with the helmet, or the face mask part removed. It just comes off like that. He's got these little peg holes on the side of his head. There's holes on the side of the mask. So it just kind of easily slides on there. And it can go up or down. The interior has a little like black and blue display. Obviously, it's a lot more high-tech in function than it looks on the figure itself, because they couldn't translate that to an action figure, obviously. He's got that Cobra logo on his forehead there, and he's got the hazard, like biohazard symbol on the front of his mask, which is kind of cool. Also, just like the original one, the bottom of his mask makes it look like fangs, because he's a cobra after all. Anyway, so going into articulation, let's see, this is the same mold as the regular Alley Viper. So he's got a ball, dumbbell, and he has a hinge on the neck, which gives him more movement up and down, as long as the hinge isn't frozen solid. Alright. Yeah, this is easy to knock off the pegs there because they're so small. Alright, so he can look down about that far. He can look up about that far. He can do the Exorcist. I think I turned his neck around because Adam's apple's facing to the side now. There we go. And he's got some tilt. His arms can go all the way around. Yeah, it can hinge up less than 90. That's not ideal. He does have a butterfly joint there. Bicep cut. Double jointed pinned arms. Once again, this is the original Alley Viper mold, so no changes there. Okay, that arm does not want to go back down now. He probably has a ab crunch, but because of the thickness of the overlay, I'm not going to get too much out of it. Although I think I got quite a bit more than I was expecting, so that's not too bad. And then he goes back about that far. He can twist the ab, or the overlay doesn't prevent twisting. He can get about that far in this splits, not a full Van Damme, but pretty close. And he can kick out about that far and kick back that far. Thigh cut on both legs, double jointed pinned knees on both legs, boot cut, foot goes back that far, forward that far, and rocker peg holes on the bottom. As I said, he does come with this face shield, which is not attached in the box, but is part of the accessories, so I'll include that. He also comes with a pair of knives, and as I said before, they painted the blades, so these look pretty nice. And he has two sheaths for them. He's got one there in his chest and the other on his arm. I'm not going to go ahead and sheath those now because I've already got this figure prepared. And there he goes. There's the knife in that sheath and the knife in that sheath. I've seen some people turn this one around so the knife goes in that way. Actually, I can't remember if it comes turned around. I think in the original one it came with the blade, the knife going in that way instead of on this way. But I could be wrong about that one. He also comes with this shield, just like the original one. And it's got that pattern on the front too, that diagonal line pattern. Big black Cobra signal, red shield, looks nice. And then on the inside it's got this display screen. It's kind of cool. A bunch of different symbols there. Got range on there, meters I guess. And it has the arm guard, which can twist around. You see one loop is bigger than the other because this one goes further up the forearm. This one goes down towards the wrist, or you can grip it in his hand. I usually have him grip it in the hand. Gives him more control over it. And of course, like I mentioned, it moves, so you can put it on either arm. Although it's a little difficult putting it on this arm because of the knife sheath, so I usually have him hold it in the left. And of course, because it swivels, you can have him hold it. Like, he can hold it like this, so it's straight out. Or if he puts his arm down, you can still twist it so that the shield is like that instead of sideways. He comes with this submachine gun, which is identical to the one that the original 80s figure came with. And it does have a removable magazine that slides into... I got it upside down. That slides into the back here. So he has this gun. And it does have the same like peg on the side of the scope that the original... Well, the red and the orange and blue one, that the classified orange and blue one had, not the original 80s one, but the one that we had, the classified one that we got first. And normally you'd be able to peg it into the backpack here, but for whatever reason they didn't dig out the hole there deep enough, so you can't do that this time around. It's too shallow. The gun won't stick like it did in the first Alley Viper they released. So that's unfortunate, because it reduces the storage amount. But he does come with this backpack, exact same backpack, all black plastic, no paint. So details go spare, unfortunately. The red Cobra logo would have been cool there. It's also got some grenades there, some pouches. This circular thing in the middle, I think, is for the rope that goes to the grapple gun. It stores in there. And then he's got another clip on the side here. This one doesn't come off. And another pouch there. So, nice functional backpack with some nice paint to bring out the details. Would have gone a long way, though. And speaking of the grapple gun, here we have it here. And some of the reviews for the original orange and blue Alley Viper for the classified release, I saw people calling this a shotgun, which kind of made me chuckle. Because, you know, I knew it wasn't. A lot of people didn't know what this was when they were doing the review on it, so it was fun watching them holding it and wondering what the hell it was. And you see he's got two loops there, one on the hook and one on the gun. It doesn't come with a string or anything that you can use as a rope, but you could add one yourself if you wanted to. And of course, this pegs into the backpack like so. And if you had the original figure in 88 or 89, you'll recognize that this is exactly what his backpack looked like. Except this part was molded in. You couldn't remove it. But now, because we've got modern technology and a good design team for classified, they made this gun removable. So now you can see how it actually functions. He also comes with this pistol, which is a copy of the one that came with the original Alley Viper, and also a copy of the one that came with a lot of the original figures in the line as a sidearm. As you can see, it's just this basic black plastic gun. It's based on a Nerf pistol, I think, of the same style, and it does not have peg hole in the front for blast effects because it was designed as part of like the Operation Blackout game, which only fired lasers. So, of course, now they've given us laser blast effects, so this still would have worked with this. But no peg hole, so no dice. Lastly, he comes with this rifle, which is not identical to the one that came with the original 80s figure. He did not come with an extra rifle. He only came with a submachine gun. But this one also has a removable magazine. They actually both guns use the same same magazine, which means they fire the same ammunition, despite one being a submachine gun, the other one being a rifle. But that's not unheard of course, and it definitely makes it easier for the Alley Viper to change between clips or magazines while he's out in the field. If he needs to use the rifle and runs out of magazines for the rifle, he can just take the one from his submachine gun. So, There's the rifle, the same one that came with the other classified Alley Viper. Got a peg hole in the front for blast effects. That reminds me, this one does too. And I guess technically, if you took this out, it's got a peg hole in the front too. If you do want to use it as a shotgun, like some people mistakenly thought it was, you don't have to use it as a grapple gun. It's up to you. And since I've already got another Alley Viper fully decked and geared up and ready to go, I don't have to sit there and put that one together. Oops. So, Crimson Alley Viper is part of Tomax and Xamot and Baroness Crimson Strike team, along with the Crimson Viper and the Crimson Bat, and technically the Crimson Guard. One of the... there he goes. He gets a little heavy because of the backpack and the shield, and the ankles on mine aren't being very cooperative. Yeah, there we go. So this is one of the better repaints in the line, in my opinion. I like the color scheme. The whole concept of the Crimson Strike team is pretty cool, in my opinion. The Crimson Guards or the Crimson Twins and Baroness, I still have to go over them. I'll probably review them in a couple weeks, because next week I'm going to be reviewing something non-G.I. Joe, because I have a lot of non-G.I. Joe stuff as well, so I want to kind of alternate so I can get through it all. But I'll get to the Crimson Strike team, which was the PulseCon exclusive last year. Technically, the Crimson Strike team is more like the Crimson Command team, because it's just Tomax, Xamot, and the Baroness. The previous Crimson Strike teams that Hasbro released came with like 10 Vipers as well as Tomax and Xamot and Baroness. So that's why it was more of a strike team, because it came with soldiers as well. I wouldn't necessarily call the leaders of the Crimson Guard a strike team, because I don't think Tomax, Xamot, and Baroness ever go out on missions, just the three of them. They send troops to do it for them. So they're more of a Crimson Command team, but they still call it a strike team. But we'll look at them in a couple weeks. Friday, we'll take a look at the Mole Rats, because they're part of this whole story arc as well, along with the Crimson Viper, or Crimson Alley Viper, and the Shooter, and Big Ben, and Tunnel Rat, Night Force Tunnel Rat. So we'll take a look at Mole Rats on Friday. Comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.